I've only truly fallen in love 3 times in my life. 2 of those times are distinctly related, and I don't know if you can guess, but these 2 couldn't be more different from each other. Zelda Breath of the Wild and the Wii U. Who would have thunk? Growing up as a Zelda fan in the Wii U era was definitely an interesting time. The Wii U launched on some very shaky ground in November 2012, and Skyward Sword launched for the Wii just 1 year before, so I think everyone kind of knew going into this whole Wii U thing that, yeah, it'll probably be a long time before we get a new Zelda game. Now, the Wii U is very near and dear to my heart. I was lucky enough to be young enough to not really understand hardware nuance, but be old enough to know that I really like these games that are coming out on this new system we got for Christmas. And I grew up playing The Legend of Zelda. I tend to go a little more feral than usual for these games, but I also grew up playing the Wii U probably more than anything else, or at least this was before I started playing Titanfall on my Xbox with my friends from school. I'm talking formative years. I practically lived, ate, and breathed on this thing. And I played other systems, but like the Wii U, I played so much of that, I'm not kidding. The console survived, and she's kicking, but boy, you can tell she's paid the price. What's up? I'm Jake. I'm going to be talking a bit about the experience of that awkward kind of Zelda purgatory that happened between 2012 and 2017, but I'm also going to be opening up on the broader topic of Zelda on the Wii U specifically. I don't even know why I started playing this one. I have a rageful Skyward Sword video I'm pushing out, and I was recording footage for Breath of the Wild when I hard pivoted into a substance-fueled Zelda bender, so fucking whoops. But let me just say, Skyward Sword, for as bad of a game as it is, definitely has had a hand in driving Breath of the Wild to the heights of success that it actually reached. And like, Zelda entry releases were getting farther and farther apart, which makes sense, you know? So playing through Skyward Sword was like, alright, fine, now the Wii U launches. I think I'm parroting Scott the Woz when I say this here, because he just spits fucking fire. He also did a video similar to this. I promise I'm taking this in a different direction. But the Wii U's launch titles were good in that they were fine. Like, we got Nintendo Land, which is pretty well-rounded and a lot of fun, at least in terms of a broad-ish Nintendo celebration. Like, obviously it had to be the launch title to use the full potential of the Wii U and its revolutionary gamepad. So it did that well enough to be an interesting and engaging enough game to tide folks over as new games would need more time before launching. Mario U came out and it was like pretty bland, all things considered. Like, the Wii U launch lineup was good. There was a lot of big name titles like Black Ops 2 or Assassin's Creed 3 and even Zombie U, which is maybe the only game that is worth playing only on the physical Wii U. And don't get me wrong, for however small the Wii U library would turn out being, I had a blast playing the games that did come out for it. I was still young and stupid, of course I had a Wii U. But on launch, it was basically just Nintendo Land, Mario U, Zombie U. The last of which isn't even a Nintendo-published game, it came from Ubisoft, so alright, whatever. There wasn't Virtual Console on the system until early 2013, and it's only really backwards compatible with the Wii, but like, if you bought a Wii U, I'm willing to bet that a Wii was floating around there somewhere. And the Wii just had a better leg up on the Wii U at this point anyways. It had Virtual Console, it played all the Wii games that were already out that you already owned, it was backwards compatible with the GameCube. It wasn't looking so great for my little buddy over here. But then we got something kind of spectacular, at least to me, in the form of a Wind Waker HD remaster in late 2013. So okay, we got a dedicated Wii U Zelda game, even if it was a remaster, even if it was kind of a lazy but not as lazy as Skyward Sword remaster. This was great. I loved this, I played it a ton. I think when it first came out, I was halfway through my first ever playthrough of Wind Waker on the GameCube. I was pretty infatuated with it, but I was stuck on the Wind Temple, and I figured that, like, I don't know, if I start fresh on the Wii U, it'll get better at the Wind Temple. I don't fucking know. But I loved this game with all of my heart. My dad got it, I believe, around Valentine's Day 2014, so I was just a little kid back then. I loved it so much. It made me start doing that thing that I do, where I just kind of manipulate people into playing the games that I want them to play. You want to hear something real crazy? I used to record the TV with a really shitty laptop as I played Wind Waker HD, and then I uploaded it to this little long-gone website called Kids World, because I wanted people to watch me play this game. And look at you now, bitch. Haha, fooled again. If I were this age at the time Wind Waker HD came out, I'd probably have been a little more underwhelmed, even if I would have held on to the last shreds of hope, but I was starting to get a little hungry again. Of course, Wind Waker kept me busy for a long time, over several playthroughs, but like, how many times can I play this game? I wasn't going back to Skyward Sword. Twilight Princess was on my GameCube, so was Ocarina of Time. Circa era almost 11 years ago, and bam! Zelda Wii U was officially announced. This was great. This was huge news. I think I remember seeing leaks way back when about a supposed title being like The Secret of Zelda or something like that, but I looked it up and I couldn't find anything, so I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. This was, however, largely referred to as Zelda Wii U, which was actually exciting. Oh boy, we're getting a new Wii U Zelda game. I'm sure I don't need to introduce you to the concept of the Breath of the Wild, but simply witnessing this concept laid down in front of me for the first time was so overwhelming. It reignited my Zelda spark that was just waiting for Mr. Aonuma to give it just one more taste. I cried when I saw this. I wouldn't lie about that. There was just this apparently obvious and breathtaking aesthetic that this new game was going for, even in its introduction of the Guardian in the trailer. It just somehow felt like it'll immediately fit. And you could tell, like, maybe they're really going for this. Maybe this will be the one. Breath of the Wild was such a turning stone. Not just for the Zelda series, not just for Nintendo and its success, not even just for the evolution of video games as an art form, but for me. This game was huge. It was so beautiful and bright. It was so free, so engaging and creative and enigmatic in its approach. It's a marvel of engineering and creativity. It's such a considerably sculpted masterpiece, 10 out of 10 video game. For all of its drawbacks, of which they aren't rare, it excels in every single place that really truly matters. This was the next step for the Zelda franchise. But we still had to get there. After an announcement for the new game in 2014 scheduled for 2015, it got bounced back to 2016. And then some things happened in 2017. In the meantime, the Wii U was not doing particularly fantastic market-wise or game-wise, and the Zelda series was certainly and definitively lacking. To count every single true Wii U Zelda game that came out on the Wii U's regular lifetime, we got Wind Waker HD, Hyrule Warriors, which isn't even a Zelda game as much as I cherish it, and Twilight Princess HD. Three games. Hyrule Warriors came along in late summer 2014, and like, look, I played this game to death. I have like 300 little kids hours on my Wii U. I have a maybe combined total of 300 adult hours over the years, at least on the Switch. But like, look, this wasn't a Zelda game, it was a Zelda distraction. A smokescreen to distract you from the distinct lack of Zelda on a Wii U, and somehow it just worked so well, I didn't even care. I stole my parents' credit card for some Ganondorf skins in this game. Twilight Princess HD came along a year and a half after that, and like at this point, I think even the core Wii U fan base was already starting the progress of moving on. I mean, I definitely did. I remember my dad coming home with Twilight HD on launch day, and I waited like 6 months to even get around to booting up the old Wii U and giving it a spin. Like, Destiny was already a thing at this point. I was starting to grow up and play a wider range of games, more like that. And it's not like I left Zelda behind. I still played plenty, especially at the time, just not on my Wii U anymore. I was digging into the N64 games on a true N64. I was getting through the Game Boy games I didn't beat in my formative years. I was even playing the 3DS games. I just wasn't really playing my Wii U. It just feels like there's this period of time where we were like, we're skating by on 2.5 remakes that were on an entirely different and vastly superior system to play on. I mean, the 3DS actually had games, and people to play them with, too. All criticisms aside, the Wii U just brought 2 HD remasters and a Warriors clone, and Zelda wasn't ready to see anything new yet. But by the time the Breath of the Wild was getting ready to come out of the oven, the Wii U was just a mere relic, man. And that kind of stung a bit, because like I've been saying, I spent a lot of my time on this thing. It was bittersweet to turn around and realize that I've simply moved on. And I was already fanboying over the new and upcoming Nintendo NX, now known as the Switch. Breath of the Wild was launching alongside it, day one, and I felt like finally, this moment I've been dying for is here. Breath of the Wild is an easy 10 out of 10, and I think the combined launch of the hugely anticipated open world game on a hybrid handheld home console system made by Nintendo, of all companies, helped skyrocket both the Zelda franchise and the Switch into success that would have made my Wii U brick itself if it ever found out. This was huge. You take the most popular Zelda game before that, the Ocarina of Time, you compare the sales numbers with Wild, and it doesn't even come fucking close. Zelda has never sold like this before. Zelda has never attracted so many people before, all at once. I even saw some of y'all in the comments, like 2 or 3 times my age, sharing experiences about Breath of the Wild. There are more people that share connections through Zelda than ever before. I'm getting somewhere with this, I promise. I have so much to say about this game that just wouldn't be fair to write about here because, What am I going to tell you the concept or something? Like, I'll compare it to Tears of the Kingdom down the road. That's coming someday. I do want to say that I have three separate save instances of Breath of the Wild just from over the years, as I ended up, you know, buying my own Switch somewhere in 2020 and starting over, and then there was another one somewhere. But this game has kind of a double-edged sword quality to it. It's a game that will engage you for as long as you'll let it. I have to stop myself because I keep getting way farther than I meant to go before even getting off. But at the same time, it kind of takes a lot of time to really make significant and meaningful progress, so starting new save files can kind of be a pain in the ass. But if anything, maybe it just speaks to the endless magic and quality of the game itself. But even though I've played it for many years and it's never let me down, yada yada, it took me until like 6 months ago to realize something that's completely flew under my radar. And to be frank, it's something I probably wouldn't have even cared about if I thought about it 2 years ago. Breath of the Wild launched on the Wii U too. That's right, I remember it now. Under normal circumstances, who cares? It's not an antique of a console, it's like way more of a pain in the ass to not even just get, but to play than the Switch. And like, who cares? But whatever, modded my Wii U like 6 months ago, bought a copy, I dumped it onto the system. And while I was getting footage for that video I mentioned earlier, hint hint, I originally intended to play this on the Switch, and I was like, oh fuck it, I have it here, I need Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD footage too, I might as well give this a spin. And boy, what a spin. It took me like maybe 30 seconds after leaving the Shrine of Resurrection for this game to slow the fuck down. It almost crashed trying to render the Great Plateau, or maybe it was just the Temple of Time. So like, obviously this wasn't going to be as high-end as the Switch version. The Wii U simply doesn't have the processing power to maintain smooth frames while balancing everything else the software is demanding of it. And I can't blame her, she's old, someday I'm going to have to take her out back. But that day is not today. Because it was through this game that I realized my Wii U is a fucking beast. So, I should say, I didn't play with the gamepad. Well, I did at some points, I had to, for the gyroscope controls. But it won't work when it's off the charger, and honestly, Aonuma himself kind of admitted that maybe using it as a separate source of information, like having it as a map in your lap, wasn't the best on your neck, and there really isn't any gamepad utilization in this game besides you can switch it off of the TV and play the game in 480p, and like, it sucks to hold, and it's probably old and dirty, and it sucks. But even comparing the Switch and the Wii U versions, like, obviously you can tell which is which, but at the end of the day, they really aren't that different. Now, granted, Breath of the Wild has more than its fair share of jank, and the biggest problem I really ran into on the Wii U was the stuttering frames. Usually when it had to load, like, actual enemies or NPCs, it would just slow almost to a halt. But even that was only going to be so bad, like, it was just choppy, I would describe it. I mean, I just pretty much prepped for and ran to Hyrule Castle, like, as soon as I was done getting distracted doing the other things, and even as it chugged in Hyrule Castle, which was, I'd say, the laggiest part of the portion at least that I played, it was fine. I was still doing plenty fine. I didn't feel all that interrupted by it. I was still hitting those perfect laser parries. Not that one. No. No! What? Yeah, that one. Let's go. There really isn't a lot to say on the technical side of things. It's lower quality, it's laggier, but it's still Breath of the Wild, really, at the end of the day. It's just the same complete DLC included experience that you can get on the Switch. You know, if you ignore the graphic fidelity and all the things I just talked about. But there's something very specific about this port that I realized recently while playing it and that I'm really coming to appreciate. First of all, I thought Breath of the Wild was a miracle. How about getting it to run on this piece of crap console? How about being able to see those shrines from all the way across the map and you can zoom in and ping them without much of a delay? How on God's green earth did they optimize this game to run on a Wii U and pretty much, like, mechanically do the same exact thing it was doing on the Switch? I thought, like, maybe the Switch struggles a little bit depending on the area, but I definitely didn't anticipate quality performance coming from this port. Or this piece of crap console. And not even that, but I'm really coming to appreciate and respect Nintendo a little more than usual just because they've held true to the promise that, like, yeah, we've moved on, you've moved on, we have a fancy new toy, but we still want to do the service of giving you the Zelda Wii U like we promised all those years ago, even if it's definitely way too late for it to even matter. Don't think I'm acting as if they did us all a service or something like this. This doesn't even begin to make up for the formative Wii U Zelda years, or for Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not ready to forgive that one yet. But most importantly to me, I'm respecting this most of all because it's such a round-trip moment for me. I mean, with the Wii U years well and gone behind me, how even Breath of the Wild itself was dethroned by its successor, I never ever thought I'd be booting up this console in 2025 to play this exact port of Breath of the Wild specifically. And I feel like by doing it, I was doing my younger self proud. There was no way that kid could have fathomed like, you think I'll be playing the brand new Zelda Wii U game on the system in 10 years? Because I kind of thought I'd be playing it way sooner. And before I knew, I just moved on, really. So, I don't know. I wrote this whole video just to tell you that I'm having a deeply nostalgic moment about Breath of the Wild, and I literally moved away from my Wii U save file 8 hours in to pick it back up in my Switch save just last night, and I haven't slept yet. Subscribe if you want to see that Skyward Sword video. Thank you and good night.